Hey, welcome back to the channel. Just got a quick repot video today, something interesting I thought I'd share with you, and I've got to take this wire off. It's been on there for probably 6 months or so, so we'll see how that's behaving under the makeshift raffia there. This is a Acer brilliantissimum, excuse my pronunciation. It's very similar to the sycamore, but like an ornamental version. Actually has a smaller leaf. Usually you'd have to buy these plants grafted. I've actually found this one chance kind of seedling, if you like. So it might even be its own type. But the nearest match I can find to it is that Acer brilliantissimum that I say there, and whether I say it right, I'm not sure. So yeah, really with this one, I just want to show you what we've got Nebari wise in there, how we're going to treat it. We're getting on in the year, but there's still time to repot this. It's just starting to swell up. But really has a fantastic leaf, this, probably half the size of a normal sycamore. Comes out kind of salmony pink to red on the really small shoots, and then kind of goes just green like the sycamore, but kind of mottled creamy colour. So really interesting leaf, a bit more tamer than the sycamore, very similar in the growth habit, quite coarse little branches. Straight away you see, even without growing out, they're quite coarse. So it will have to be a kind of larger tree in the end, but I don't really want to lose check on this. So but in the last, I've probably had this 3 years now, and I think it's doing quite well for that time. Really, these branches are probably irrelevant. Really I've just been concentrating on Nebari and getting some movement in it. I was kind of initially a bit worried about bending this because I've only got one of them, and they're not something I find littered around the garden as such, but I did put some movement in it last year. It's a little bit 2D. I'd like a little bit more kind of 3Dness to it, but there is a little bit there. So we'll get it unwrapped and have a look in the roots. We've probably got what looks to be probably 4mm wire on here, so it's quite tough old stuff, and it's only in a little pot. So let's see if we can get this off of here. Just going to work it around them branches. Got to support one part of the bend with a finger on this really thick wire, because you could undo some hard work very quickly. And there we go. So that's the wire off. Like I say, quite a heavy duty old piece of wire. Let's see what we've got hiding behind this raffia. There we go. It's actually a really nice trunk now it's revealed. And it actually does have a little bit more 3D characteristics. Now it's kind of been unwrapped, and we can see it bare, as it were. You can see it quite clearly leans back there. So yeah, quite interesting movement. Right, so we'll have a look at what we've got root wise. So we see it's growing into that mesh well. Let's check it's always nice to check the root health. They're all still white. I think we had a little bit of cold damage there. You see where you can pull like the outside skin of the root off. That's normally cold, because it would be white in there. So same as always, we'll just, I can see where the Nebari starts on this. It probably could have gone down a little bit further in the pot. Loads of fine roots again, which is great. So although the compost or the soil is a little bit heavy going with all that sand and grit in there, you can see how well it does. See what we've got here. You can see how nice and flat I've kept this from the start. I left it in the ground where it was growing for probably 2 years. Didn't really want to disturb it. Luckily we didn't end up with no horrible kind of carrot roots, as I call them. Got a good example of that in another video to show you on the problems with collecting ground grown trees. So I probably won't go too much further in there. I'm starting to find some chunkier bits there, and it's fairly equal all the way round, so I don't want to particularly damage anything good new that we got starting in there. You see there's a couple there, a couple more there. So this is looking like quite a nice full Nebari. keep untangling a bit of this because the more of that muck we can get rid of. So a lot of my trees don't really look a lot, but I can assure you in the pots I've done the best work possible under the ground. I always feel it's a bit like we've done a house renovation on the house we bought, and the amount of work that goes into just fixing the walls on an old house, and then it all gets plastered over and you don't see all the work that's gone into it. Bonsai is quite a bit like that with the roots until you kind of lift it out of the pot a little bit. You don't see some of the work that's gone on. So look at that, nice full. That root there's a little bit high, but I feel without knowing that there's something directly under it, it'd probably be a mistake to cut that off. I think we just incorporate that in the design, seeing how that would probably be the front there. So yeah, really nice. I'm going to just cut a few of these roots from the bottom that we definitely don't need. I'm not going to be too aggressive to this because I do want it to grow well this year. I don't want it to spend all its time trying to put new roots out. So there we go, it's a really great little Nebari on a... By the time this tree thickens up, that'll actually look fantastic, I'm sure. And I'm sure as these thicken up, they'll probably bring that one a little bit more in keep. Right, for a special tree, if you like, I've got a special pot. It's one of my concrete pots from last year. This one is imprinted with Acer leaves. They're very fitting for this tree, as it were. Right, so we've got some mesh in the bottom there. Like I said, this isn't its forever home. Two bits I'm going to twist over each other like that. So for the potting mix, I've got probably a 50-50 a kind of perlite compost, a handful of bark chip in there, a little bit of that large grain sand I keep going on about, and there's a handful of vermiculite in there because I've got a massive bag of it. I got rid of them, I haven't got many uses for it, so I'm kind of just trialing a little bit of that in there. Like I say, this is more of a training facility as well, so it's not a permanent fixture. Probably going to try that to start with because I felt it was a little bit high in the pot last time. Let's see if we can just sneak these wires around the roots. Design wise, we don't have to worry too much unless there's a certain leaf we want at the front of the pot. So those have all snuck down really nice. And I think there's a little handful in there like that. So that looks nice. It's nice and central. We've got the planting angle right. See, that's nice and firm in there now. There we are, right into that pot. That's a good job, that. Just make sure that these are all a fibre there. Like I say, I like to try and get bits between the roots so they're not all just sat on top of each other. When you've got a really dense Nebari like that, with fine roots, it's easy to end up with a massive carpet of them with a sprinkle of soil on top. But that's a nice fill there. and we're up to that root plane, as it were. So if we get any new roots out of there, we've got a good chance of getting a few new roots out of there, sorry, and they've got somewhere to kind of go. They're quite happy with that, and as you can see there now, with the angle that we've planted it at, that could be a new leader if we wanted it to. And we can kind of continue that little shape there and do something else. The main thing was just getting some kind of movement there. As you can see now, with the thickness it's achieved over last year, you aren't really going to bend that now. A little sprinkle of this gravel, just to, like I say, preserve what we've done here. Colour for the pot actually. And that again will hold a bit more moisture in over winter as well. It'll stop the sun kind of baking that top layer. And again, just a little drop of water on that one. So, although it looks a little bit over potted for what it is, like I said, it's kind of a special tree, so we're giving it a special pot, and this will hopefully be a new and improved version of that sycamore bonsai from the previous video, without all the issues, you know, because I've started it a bit younger on, and I've kind of kept an eye on it. You can even feel with a good water that's not really that heavy, so it's a nice light mix, that. So yeah, good to put one of my pots to use, and good to give this a bit more growing room in a nicer, freer draining mix. It'll be really interesting to see how that progresses over the next year. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Quite a simple little video, but I knew it had a nice root flare, so it's kind of nice to see, you know, decent Nebari from the beginning, as it were. And yeah, like I say, nice to show off one of these concrete pots we've made, so we'll see how that holds up over summer. And yeah, really keen to see this break bud now, really. It really does have a nice leaf. So we'll give you a little update when the time's right. But yeah, like I say, hope you enjoyed it. If you have, as always, if you could give us a thumbs up, help like-minded people find the videos. And also, if you're not a subscriber, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you.